Going to summarise my experience with the new nozzle system used on the Liteplacer pick and place machine. It's a pretty good setup. It replaces the lure lock nozzles that were probably one of the drawbacks of the old kit. The new system's pretty high quality, and it's got the auto change built in, so it's a much easier just to set and forget your job. First thing I'll go through is how I set it up in my software. Now, as a disclaimer, I'm a new user to the Liteplacer, so I may not have done everything perfectly, but it is working, so it might help you get yours set up. On this page, there are a few things that we have to set. First thing I found was that these speeds are what the Liteplacer uses during the auto change, so I've taken off full speed during tuning. It's just less likely to cause any high speed crashes. Secondly, we've got the load data over here, and all it is a path that the nozzle follows. Starts for each nozzle, it starts at this point, moves in the Z-axis by 27 millimeters, which in the same process as used with the unload is are these paths here. Vision parameters, I haven't tested these. I'm not very familiar with the Liteplacer's vision system just yet, but I believe you set the minimum size to just under the circle you want to recognise, just less than the nozzle diameter, and the maximum just above the nozzle diameter. Over here is calibrate all. It will cycle through all your nozzles and take them over to the upward facing camera to identify any offset or any lack of concentricity, and this only calibrates the one nozzle that is currently fitted. The one thing that I missed for a little while is this checkbox down here. It's pretty obvious, but you can oversee it pretty easily. Nozzle change enable. Everything works fine until it comes to running a job, but if you haven't ticked this box, it doesn't use it during the program. So once these are all set up, I make sure that the tapes represent the nozzle to be used. So up here are the two components that are used in the Hello World application, and you can see over here that you choose which nozzle to use for which component. These will automatically get translated over into the job data, so you can see that this component uses nozzle 2, this component uses nozzle 1, but with the loose part you've got to make sure that you manually add which nozzle you use when it comes to picking up the IC. Otherwise it will try and reuse the nozzle above it. So that's all I've got to say about the software. We'll switch over to the video to the unit and have a look at how it functions. So over at the machine, you can see the new upgrade kit. It's got the sealed adapter at the top, threaded on. Down the bottom we've got a threaded on adapter. There's no nozzle fitted at the moment. Over here is the holder that comes in the kit, the magnets with the little nozzles in there. So you can see that the magnets, they spring back a little bit as they're sitting in there. You can see the nice little nozzles that come with the kit. Now, what I found was that the preload on my tube was a little bit too much, and consequently the adapter spring would compress before triggering the switch, so that took a little bit of tuning, but now you can see that the switch triggers before the adapter spring comes in, which is what we want. So what we're going to do is just show you how a quick change works. Just going to reset the unit. We're going to have to rehome it now that I've triggered the the probe switch. So the unit's going to quickly home itself, homes the Z-axis. Now it's homing the Y-axis off the limit switch. It's going to go all the way back and trigger the X-axis limit switch, and then it's going to look for that little dot in the corner and home itself precisely. So now we're currently set up with no nozzle, so we're going to go and pick up the nozzle 1 can see it finds itself the right spot according to the table that we loaded, brings itself out in the X all the way down to fully put the nozzle home, comes out, and then we're ready to go. And if we want to change to a different nozzle, let's say nozzle 3, you can see it goes down, slides in, fully down, and then retracts. Now this is all happening relatively slowly because I have not set the speeds to full speed. That was just to be a little bit more cautious while we were tuning. But what we'll see, I'll just do the next nozzle change with full speed set up, and we'll see it'll happen a little bit quicker. Alright, now we're good. A little bit quicker. Up. And you can see a nozzle change doesn't take long at all. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to start the Hello World program. And off we go. So what the program's going to do, quickly going to identify the 4 fiducials on the circuit board. It's turning on the pump now. Now it's going to select the right nozzle for the 0805s, I believe, which I've set to nozzle 2. I could probably get away with nozzle 3, but we won't worry about that for now. So I picked up the first component. Now it's going to place it. What it's doing is looking for the second circle, second sprocket hole with the camera to identify an accurate placement of the resistor. As you can see, I haven't been terribly accurate with the placement of the strips, so that's all possible due to the image recognition that it does on the sprocket holes. It doesn't have to be terribly accurate. So now it's swapping over to the right nozzle for the 0603s. Which is the slightly smaller one. I think I've probably got my nozzles about one size too small for each one of these components, but it's not the end of the world. I mean, one thing to notice with this machine, it's taken about 4 days for me to build. You know, I'm not the smartest tool in the shed, but I'm also a little bit experienced with CNCs, so I'm probably in the middle of the abilities. And it took me about 4 days. 1 day for the mechanical build, another day for the electrical build, another day for the setup and calibration, and another day for getting this Hello World application finished and tuned and running right. So it's not for the faint-hearted. It's not a, you can see from the speed, it's not a manufacturing machine, it's an engineering machine. So when you need to do small runs and you're not too worried about a slight loss of productivity. So what it's doing is looking for the IC. Just got to click OK on the screen. It's going to try and find it. There it is. Pick it up. It did use the camera to identify it. So now it knows to rotate it slightly. Now it's going to just put it down on the board there.